The sun formed about 4.6 billion years ago when a molecular cloud collapsed and was compressed by gravity. This molecular cloud combined surrounding dust, gas, and asteroid fragments to form a protostar. When the star was born, thermonuclear fusion reactions began in the hydrogen core inside it. During these reactions, hydrogen atoms combined and turned into helium atoms, releasing a large amount of energy. This process continues in the sun's core, providing the sun's brightness and warmth. In this video, we will examine what will happen to living things on Earth if the sun suddenly disappears. Before you start the video, don't forget to subscribe and like it for more content like this. Enjoy watching. What happens between day 1 and day 10? If the sun suddenly disappears, the world is instantly plunged into icy darkness. Deprived of sunlight, the planet loses its temperature and begins to cool rapidly. Normally, the average temperature of the Earth is 15 degrees. On the 7th day of the sun's disappearance, the temperature drops to 8 degrees C. This temperature change initially damages small plants. Plants, whose photosynthesis stops due to the loss of light, are forced to feed on the starch they have stored. However, small plants run out of storage starch on the 10th day and begin to die. What happens between the 11th day and the 30th day? Initially, the temperature at the surface still supports life, but due to the lack of sunlight, plants cannot photosynthesize, breaking the food chain. The difficulty of finding food for humans, plants, and animals is increasing. A quarter of the population of most small plants, except large-trunked trees, has already disappeared. What happens between the 31st and the 100th day? The world is getting colder. Some of the water on the Earth's surface freezes and ice sheets begin to form. Humans and other living things struggle for food and heat sources. Some places in high latitudes freeze quickly. In high-altitude regions such as China, Nepal, India, and Pakistan, people are beginning to die rapidly from hypothermia. Many small plant species are now extinct. A famine problem arose in the herbivorous creatures that fed on them. During this period, herbivorous animals faced death. On the 35th day, the average temperature drops to 0 degrees, and the reserves of large power plants are about to be exhausted. Large trees begin to die. The end of the plant kingdom is approaching. What happens between day 101 and day 365? With the sudden drop in temperature, water vapor in the atmosphere condenses, causing heavy precipitation in low areas and heavy snowfall in high latitudes. There are major changes in the climate, and glaciers are expanding. Life can only be lived in private living spaces such as spas. On the 120th day, the temperature dropped to 30 degrees below zero. Almost all plants and half of the mammals disappeared. At the end of a year, the temperature is minus 100 degrees. What happens after a year? The Earth gradually cools due to the decrease in water vapor and other gases in the atmosphere. Life on the surface becomes almost impossible, and many species disappear. The death of plants affected the ecosystem so much that herbivores starved and disappeared. When herbivores disappeared, it was the turn of carnivores. Carnivorous creatures also became extinct because they could not find food. 97% of the living population disappeared. Surviving humans and other creatures may take refuge in deep underground shelters that keep the temperature below the surface, or in specialized facilities used in scientific research. However, in the long run, energy resources and food resources are depleted, and ultimately, it becomes impossible to sustain life. Today's technology could not cope with this grave event.
lighthouse of science.